Good morning, Quadcopter 101 with part 2 of my CX-22 review. In my last review of this, I did not get a chance to demonstrate the circle me and follow me features of this quadcopter. Main reason being I couldn't do the follow me because I did not know how to bind this transmitter with the GPS satellites. Since that last review, I went back into the manual, and there is a little procedure. It's hidden in there, and I'll demonstrate it here. It's very important to know. Otherwise, this transmitter will not bind with the satellites. In effect, you have to set during the binding process of this transmitter, and as the transmitter and both the quadcopter and the transmitter are trying to acquire satellites, you have to set switch C to 1 position. All the other switches are set to 0, but switch C has to be set to 1. Otherwise, the transmitter will not acquire satellites. That is hidden in the manual, deep in the manual. But I discovered that. So now this transmitter does bind with the satellites very well. The follow me mode does require the knowledge. This transmitter has to be bound with the satellites. It has to know where its position is so it can transmit it to the quadcopter so that the quadcopter can follow you. It's actually following this transmitter. The circle me mode does not require the satellites. Actually, you just set a GPS point in space, set the quadcopter in space, and then you adjust the radius of the distance that you want from that center circle me point, and then you tell it start circling left or start circling right around that point in space. So that I was in error in the last video. That does not require the GPS lock on of the transmitter to do such. So let's go for a flight here along the LA Aqueduct Road of the CX-22, and I'm going to demonstrate circle me and follow me. Just a quick demonstration of that for this part 2 video. Hope you enjoy this flight. Let's do it. Now, as with the CX-20, this one has an idiosyncrasy that you need to know for binding. Again, we're going to bind this transmitter to this quadcopter, you more or less almost have to turn them on at the exact same time. I don't know what the issue is with that. It was the same with the CX-20, but you start this one slightly before the transmitter. You wait until you hear the little beep, then you turn on the transmitter, and right now they're binding to each other. And we should have a bind. And the way you find out is, okay, again, set the switch to 1 so that while these things are trying to acquire satellites, the transmitter is also going to acquire satellites. But now we're going to see if we have a bound, and you look down on your LCD screen, you print enter and exit, and if you can see 12.1 volts, voltage reading from the quadcopter, you know you're bound. Right now we have 0 satellites. See if I can adjust that angle so you can see that. 0 satellites on either the quadcopter and the transmitter, so we got to let that the satellites bind in. Again, make sure this switch C is upward in 1 position while it's acquiring satellites, and we just wait. In the meantime, while we're waiting, we can check our view on the FPV screen here, and I seem to have a good view. I am going to also include, with today's flight, my little box to cover the screen so I can see this better in the bright sunlight. And also I got a run cam in there, if you can see that or not. Put that in sunlight. So I have a run cam in there, so we'll be able to record today's video, so you'll be able to see also what I'm seeing on the FPV screen. Right now we got 5 satellites. Actually, we're good to go right now on both of these. Let's put this box over the top and start the recording. Okay, we have 5 satellites on the quadcopter, 7 satellites on the receiver, setting the switch to 0. For takeoff, Cheerson recommends, once you get satellite lock, set all your switches A, B, and C to 0. Now also I'm going to start recording on the quadcopter by switching switch D up momentarily. And I have recording. I see the recording blinking red recording light, and you should be seeing that too if this FPV screen is actually recording. So we should be good to go. So again, we're going to start off with all switches set to 0, which means altitude hold. When I take off, we got a wind coming, that thing's going to start to drift, okay? But I'm going to start flying off in altitude hold mode. This quadcopter, again, in the manual it says always take off in altitude hold mode with all switches set to 0. Then I'm going to fly it overhead somewhere, or relatively overhead, to a point in space. And then I'm going to set GPS lock by setting switch A to 1. And then I'm going to also, after settings in space, I am going to switch B to 1. And then we're going to adjust the radius and then do a circle me flight. Okay, so first off, let's take off and get into the air. So unlocking by pushing down and to the right. And let's go for a flight. Again, this takes it. We're going to take off in altitude hold mode. Let's fly it around one time in altitude hold mode. And get it over my position. And I'm going to set switch A shortly to 1 position. Let's bring it a little closer too. Right about there. Altitude hold, or position hold. Okay, it's adjusting. It's trying to go back to where it was when I hit that switch. Now let's move back and to the right. Right. Let it adjust the position there. Okay, and that'll be my center circle me position. Now I'm going to set switch A or B to 1. So right now we're in circle me mode. So I'm going to adjust the radius by pushing the pitch forward. And that adjusts the radius for the circle me. So right about there, I'm going to go over where that was hovering. And now all we got to do is tell it to either let me point the camera toward us. Also, how's that view looking? Okay, let's adjust downward too a bit. Oh, that's right and left. Let's lower the view a bit so you see me. Here I am. Okay, and then we just move the pitch roll stick, adjust the roll to the left, and it should just circle my position from there. And you just keep applying a left roll or right roll, and it'll go counterclockwise or clockwise depending which way you point it. Now, you know, I could adjust that yaw position too. So instead of doing a circle around the center position here, it'll be looking forward along the circle. But right now, I just want to do circle me. And that's circle me mode. Okay, wasn't that cool? Just a quick demo of that. Now let's adjust its position to over here, to the left of me. And we're going to do follow me. I'm going to set position, switch B to 1, or to 0, and switch C to 1. Let me adjust it to point it toward me. And now I'm in follow me mode. And it should just follow me. And it's doing such. You know, this is cool for going across the desert. Or if you want to go on a hike and, you know, show a view here. Right now, there's not much to see other than a lot of sagebrush out of here. But it's following my position as I walk down to my car, which is pretty darn cool, in my opinion. I think this is a neat quadcopter, folks. I think a lot of people would enjoy these features. You know, it is a bit pricey. Like, let me go down a bit so you can see me. It is a bit pricey for a quadcopter, but when you compare it to something like a DJI Phantom or others, it's really not. Especially with all the features that this thing comes with. I mean, it's feature rich. It's got tons of stuff. You know, you get a gimbal, you're getting a 1080p remote operated camera, you're getting an FPV system, you're getting the circle me and follow me mode. All in all, you know, there's a lot of equipment that you're getting, a huge system that you're getting in one single quadcopter, and that more or less is why this one is kind of pricey. Okay, I'm going to bring it down here. I demonstrated its follow me mode. Let's go back to altitude hold. All switches back to 0, and let's just land it. And I'll bring it down here by me. Actually, I'm going to turn it a bit, put it bass backwards to me. And land it. And locking. So all in all, pretty neat quadcopter. The CX-22. Still got some battery power left on it too. You know, hey, one thing I wanted to talk about is battery power. It's advertised at 25 minutes flight time, but I think that really is 25 minutes if you don't have this camera attached to, and you know, the gimbal and camera and FPV system running. All of those, the weight of the camera, the weight of the gimbal, the power to the camera, the power to the gimbal does reduce flight time. I'm not sure how much, but I'm sure it does. So I really doubt the claim of 25 minutes with a 5400 milliampere hour battery. I'm sure it's much less than that. So all in all, that's the second flight, part 2 of the CX-22. Really neat quadcopter, what it can do. Hope you enjoyed this flight. This is Quadcopter 101, signing out.